Humans perceive time moment by moment. We spend our lives following the unchanging one-way course of the clock, making our journey from birth to death. But is it possible to take a different path through time? The great mystery of time is that time and space exist independently of us, but we accept them in social and cultural aspects. For example, we divide our day into working time and free time. Even trains and the buses have their own times of departure, which we have invented so that we can use them more easily. The concept of time travel has always been in vogue because the idea of stepping outside of time is very appealing. Our modern obsession with time travel is rooted in the work of writer H.W. Wells and his heart-pounding novel The Time Machine. Published in 1895, it had a profound impact on society because it gave the scientific world the idea that we could travel through time. What makes it unique is that it has a mechanism that is designed to control time. This is different from other stories. 10 years after the publication of The Time Machine in 1905, Albert Einstein shocked the world by publishing a revolutionary theory that suggested time travel was scientifically possible. Einstein said that we all move in a straight line through time, from the past through the present and into the future. But his special theory of relativity allows the straight line of time to be twisted like a noose and cause a time warp. This allows for the possibility of time travel. Could the laws of physics allow us to travel to any point in the past and the future? And if so, is it possible that a time machine has already been created? In October 1943, at the height of World War II, the Atlantic Ocean was a battlefield where American ships were under constant threat from German submarines. In an effort to protect the Allied fleet, the US Navy launched a top-secret project that went down in history as the Philadelphia experiment. The goal of this project was bold and ambitious: to make warships invisible to the enemy by using revolutionary technology. Great minds like Albert Einstein and Nikola Tesla played a key figures in the experiment. The idea was to apply the unified field theory, the interaction between gravity and electromagnetism. Scientists are trying to surround the ship with electromagnetic fields, which would not only hide it from the radars, but also literally erase it from sight. But despite the huge potential of the technology, something strange happens. Tesla, who initially played a key role, suddenly abandons the project. Why? According to some sources, he warns that the consequences could be devastating, not just to the crew, but to humanity as well. What exactly made him back off? On October 28, 1943, the experiment was triggered. The Eldridge ship was wrapped in electrified cables and engulfed in a greenish mist. Witnesses claimed that the ship completely disappeared. After a few hours, it appeared in Norfolk, Virginia, before disappearing again and returning to Philadelphia. But what is unfolding on board is horrifying. The crew members were found in unnatural and horrific conditions. Some were embedded in the structure of the ship, others had lost their minds, and others had disappeared without a trace. The space and time surrounding the Eldritch was said to have been wrapped in ways beyond human understanding. Sailor Carl Allen, who claimed to have witnessed these events, revealed details of the experiment in a series of letters addressed to the writer Maurice Jessup. Allen describes not only the disappearance of the ship, but also the alleged time jumps, claims of Eldritch appearing in strange places such as Chicago in 1969 and Lake Mead in 1983, only to disappear again. Eldritch seemed to jump chaotically through time, offering something of a primal form of time travel. Some of the information from the Philadelphia experiment comes from some of the families of the sailors who volunteered to take part in the experiment. These sailors have since been declared dead, missing in action. It was a real disaster. Allen, the sailor, talked about the Philadelphia experiment, and Jessup included the letters in a book called The UFO Case. Then he was contacted by the Navy because someone had sent them a copy of his book. The Navy decided to cover it all up and claimed that it was a hoax and nothing like this ever happened. However, Jessup felt that this only confirmed what happened during the experiment. Is this simply a legend, blown out of proportion by rumors? Or did the experiment truly reveal forces that push us to be courageous in our pursuit of the unknown? In 1893, in Chicago, Illinois, 27 million people from all over the world arrived in the city for the World's Fair. The exposition displayed a number of remarkable innovations, and the streets were illuminated by 100,000 light bulbs. The sea of lights turned night into day and amazed visitors, most of whom had never seen anything like this. This sparkling spectacle was made possibly by a new type of electricity called alternating current, one of the many important inventions of the famous Serbian scientist Nikola Tesla. The period in the late 19th and early 20th centuries was the culmination of Tesla's career. He became famous through the world as the man who saw the future. He was called Mr. Electricity. Nikola Tesla is considered a genius who changed the course of history. But there are people who believe that Tesla should be credited with another extraordinary invention: a time machine. In 1943, Nikola Tesla died and left his notes at the New Yorker hotel. After his death, the FBI intervened, searching the rooms and taking the notes, which contained a series of speculative diagrams. The US is rumored to have gained access to time travel technology from a series of documents seized from Tesla's apartment detailing the creation of a teleportation device. And with teleportation comes time travel. Has the US government obtained plans for a teleportation device designed by Nikola Tesla? And if so, is it possible that they used them to build a time machine? In the winter of 1968 in central New Jersey, young Andrew Bisiago visits a nearby factory with his father. Little Andrew did not suspect that this factory was hiding something extraordinary. He tells, "I was 6 years old when my father took me to Building 68 of the Curtiss-Wright Corporation in Woodridge, New Jersey. There, on the floor of Building 68, was a Tesla teleporter. It was a large device that reached all the way to the ceiling. There were 2 cylinders about 2.5 meters high and about 3 meters wide. Between them, the leap past radiant energy caused a holographic tunnel of white light to open up in space-time. Tesla's teleportation was tested. After witnessing Tesla's teleporter, Andrew Bisiago claims he was recruited by members of a shadowy military organization known as DARPA to participate in a secret time travel program called Project Pegasus. Project Pegasus was a secret DARPA research program They trained and tested American students in 8 modalities of time travel. There were 140 students like me in the program. We were expected to become the first American chrononauts, or time travelers. According to Andrew, Tesla's teleporter was used to send chrononauts back in time to observe and even influence historical events. A chrononaut is a time traveler, and I was involved in more than just testing and training. I was assigned missions. I was sent to Ford's Theater to see who shot Lincoln. I was also sent to meet General George Washington on a mission to convince him to withdraw the soldiers from New York Harbor. There was always an expert training class where they prepared us for what was to come. While some people find Andrew Basiago's story hard to believe, during the Cold War, the US government conducted countless strange experiments involving everything from mind control to remote viewing. Andrew Basiago insists his story is backed up by more than heresy. He believes that he has photographs providing he traveled back in time to watch President Abraham Lincoln deliver his Gettysburg Address. I traveled to Gettysburg the day Lincoln gave his famous speech, November 19, 1863. My purpose was to watch him deliver the speech, but I received a lot of attention from the people around the podium. Some ladies from Gettysburg, a few policemen guarding Mr. Lincoln. I forced myself away from the podium, and there was I, photographed standing next to Lincoln in the Gettysburg. Lincoln is visible in a few pixels above my right shoulder. It's called Josephine Cobb's photo because it's the Library of Congress who found Lincoln in the photo using a magnifying glass. The paradox is that this photo was discovered 10 years before I was born in 1961. Andrew was born in 1961, and in 1951 the photo was discovered by Josephine Cobb. When I traveled to Gettysburg for Lincoln's speech, this 1863 picture of me at Gettysburg already existed. This is one of the many proofs of Pegasus. The best time travel technology I know of is controlled by the US government. It is not fiction or an urban legend. It's a forgotten part of American history. What do you think? Is the boy in the picture a time traveler? And if time travel technology really exists, how did the government wing it for so long? Perhaps we'll find clues by exploring another secret time machine that's hidden deep in the Vatican archives. Deep under the Catholic Church is one of the most heavily guarded archives in the world, the Archivum Apostolicum Vaticanum, or as it's better known, the Secret Vatican Archive. This place, equipped with state-of-the-art security systems and a controlled atmosphere, guards over 80 kilometers of shelves filled with books, documents, and artifacts. According to legend, some of the most mysterious relics in history are hidden here: the Ark of the Covenant, the original menorah, and the Spear of Destiny. These are just some of the stories that raise questions and conjectures. In addition to these legendary artifacts, rumors tell of another, even more extraordinary object kept in the archives, a device called a chronovisor, created in the 1950s and considered a real time machine. The chronovisor is described as a machine. Chrono means time and visor means sight. It is a device that allows you to see through time. The scientific principle behind a chronovisor is that it is a device through which you can see the past or future events, similar to a hologram or television. Instead of risking someone's life by sending them to the past or to the future, you might as well turn the device on and see what happened. Could there be a time machine hidden in the Vatican's secret archives? Well, the story was revealed on May 2, 1972, in an Italian newspaper. The journalist Vincenzo Madaloni wrote about the existence of the chronovisor and about the great architect of this amazing machine. The original idea for the chronovisor came from a Benedict monk named Pellegrino Ernetti. This gentleman was a teacher of ancient music as well as a physicist. He created the chronovisor by accident. According to Father Ernetti, he worked for the president of the Pontifical Academy of Science, Father Agostino Gemelli, on a project to restore an archive of audio recordings, mostly Gregorian chants. One day, while they were listening to the recordings, Father Gemelli swore he heard a voice. They isolated the voice, and Father Gemelli could swear that it was the voice of his father, who had already died. Father Gemelli accepted this voice as a miracle, a gift from God. But Father Ernetti, however, was more rational and wanted to see if there was a way to extract all this information from the electromagnetic records. Father Ernetti gathered 12 physicists and scientists to help him try to recreate this phenomena. That's how they created the device. Rumors of the Vatican's secret technology have been the odd gossip in Italian newspapers for decades, but in 2000, the story was brought to the wider world in a shocking book called Father Ernetti's Chronovisor. The book included information from Father Ernetti himself, in which he revealed how the device worked. Father Ernetti claims that the device consists of cathode rays, antennas, and metals that receive sound and light signals of all wavelengths. They were designed to tune into different frequencies and capture residual electromagnetic energy that is sensitive to conversations and images over time. The theory was that energy is never lost and that the frequencies of the past are still floating around somewhere. Through the appropriate setting, we can capture images and sounds of past events. After creating the chronovisor, Father Ernetti tested its capabilities by observing the speeches of an Italian dictator named Benito Mussolini from a decade earlier, in the 1940s. When this test was successful, Ernetti traveled back to 1797 to see Napoleon conquer Italy during the French Revolution. And despite the skeptical looks, Father Ernetti never changed his story. He died in 1994, and to his dying day, he maintained that the chronovisor existed. Over the years, the Vatican has been questioned about the chronovisor, but the standard answer is that it is a fabrication and does not exist. However, according to rumors, in 1988, the Church issued an edict stating that anyone using technology to obtain information through time would be excommunicated. Why would the Vatican issue such a statement if the chronovisor does not exist? And if the Vatican has such an incredible technology, why are they hiding it in the secret archives? If you could turn on this device and watch every event in the past, history would unfold before you and all the mysteries would be revealed. But such a device would eliminate all secrets. Has our society matured enough to accept the loss of our secrets? I don't think so. And if the claims about the chronovisor are true, it might be best to keep it locked away. With all the reports of various time machines, perhaps the most important question is, what is the science behind them? The answer may lie in the story of a famous Italian physicist who in 1937 made a great discovery about time travel and then mysteriously disappeared without a trace. In September 2011, in Geneva, Switzerland, scientists working at CERN's Large Hadron Collider announced a remarkable discovery. After firing subatomic particles along the accelerator's 27-kilometer track, they detected that certain particles known as neutrinos were moving faster than had ever been measured. At microscopic levels, these exotic particles have been detected moving faster than light. If you travel faster than light, time travel is possible. But can such things happen to large objects like us? In theory, the answer is yes. According to some, the answer may lie in the strange disappearance of a scientist in the 1930s named Ettore Majorana. In 1937, this genius wrote the first publication about the neutrino, which we studied decades later. Thanks to Majorana, we understand subatomic particles much better. Ettore Majorana lived and worked in Italy under Mussolini's dictatorship before the start of the World War II. Interestingly, he leaves behind a cryptic letter. "Don't worry about me. The best decision has already been made. Please don't look for me." Theories range from fleeing the fascist regime and hiding in a monastery to a moral dilemma about the dangers of his discoveries. And a curious theory is speculated that he came into contact with aliens because of his advanced knowledge. His disappearance remains an unsolved mystery, but his scientific contributions continue to inspire. Another very interesting case related to time anomalies is in 1932, when two journalists went to the shipyard of Hamburg to make a report. One was called J. Bernard Hutton and the other Brandt. Nothing out of the ordinary happened until they suddenly found themselves surrounded by bombs falling around them. They saw the bombs falling from the sky, which terrified them, and they quickly ran away from there. And when Brandt's photos came out, no lesions were visible. In 1943, Hutton, living in Britain during World War II, read a report that the Royal Air Force had bombed the same shipyard. The description in the newspaper matched exactly what he saw that day in 1932. It froze him. If there is any truth to these reports of time slips, what could be causing them? According to physicists, the answer may be that we live in a multiverse. The idea of the multiverse comes from quantum mechanics. As children, we were told that we cannot be in two places at once. Sounds logical, right? Well, they lied to us. Again. In quantum mechanics, electrons can be in two places at the same time, and so we have a scenario where past, present, and future are intertwined. In theory, this allows us to coexist with someone from the past. What are we to make of people who claim to have experienced these time slips, whether they were in the past or the future? We can say that there are so many similar stories that there must be some truth in them. But if many people were transported to another time, where is the proof? The answer may lie in old photos that seem to show people from the future. In 2010, in Canada, the Canadian Digital Museum displays a collection of historic photographs on its site. A photo taken in 1941 is of serious curiosity because it appears to show a man from the future. In this photo, taken during the opening of the South Fork Bridge in British Columbia, a group of people look typical of the 1940s, except for one individual. This young man with dark glasses, a trendy t-shirt, and small camera looks like a special person from our time. There is no logical reason for him to be in 1941. The strange photo quickly spread across the internet. Many wondered if the strangely dressed man might be a time traveler. Over the years, stories about time travelers have never stopped raising questions. Sergei Ponomarenko, a man who claims to have arrived in 1958, leaves photos and documents that seem impossible for his time and disappears. During Mike Tyson's boxing match in 1995, a camera captured a man in the audience with a strange device that resembled a smartphone years before they were invented. In Charlie Chaplin's 1928 film The Circus, a woman walks down the street as if talking on the phone, a device that did not exist at the time. And in the footage from 1938, another woman holds an object resembling a telephone while the others react as if it is perfectly normal. One question remains. If time travel can be overcome, how many more such tracks have we missed? Perhaps they're all around us as long as we have eyes to see them. Science is already beginning to venture beyond linear time. And then another question arises. Is there even past and future? Or are these not other parallel realities that exist at the same time as ours? It's just that it's very new, metaphysical, and incomprehensible to us. But if this is true, then we can happily paraphrase Socrates' famous quote, "We know that we know nothing." And we can add a powerful quote from the famous movie Interstellar. Mankind was born on Earth. It was never meant to die here. Never stop asking questions. Always be curious. And the answers shall come. Until the next time.